Welcome to Dreamy Sleep Tales, where every night brings a new world of wonder and calm. Tonight, we invite you on a moonlit journey into the heart of an enchanted forest, where hidden cottages, glowing lanterns, and forgotten wishes await. Before we begin, make sure you're cozy. Slip on your headphones, find a soft spot to rest, and let the magic wash over you. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and prepare to follow Arin and Grandmother Mirella on a spellbinding adventure of courage, kindness, and memory. Ready to light your inner lantern? Then settle in, drift off, and let the story carry you to dreams you'll never forget. On the edge of a sleepy village, where the lanterns flickered like fireflies against cobblestone streets, lived a boy named Arin. From his attic bedroom window, he often watched the world hush beneath swaths of silver moonlight. Yet, despite the soft lullaby of night, Arin's heart felt strangely hollow. Only 2 weeks ago, his grandmother, his closest friend and storyteller, had fallen ill, and the stories she once whispered by his bedside had drifted away like autumn leaves on a stream. One late evening, when lanterns down below had all but melted into darkness, Arin noticed something unexpected. A single glowing butterfly drifting past his window. Its wings shimmered emerald and gold, and it moved with such graceful purpose that Arin felt a whisper of curiosity stirred deep within him. He slipped on his woolen cloak, tiptoed past his slumbering parents, and followed the butterfly out into the night. The world beyond his garden gate was hushed but alive. Trees arched overhead like ancient guardians, their leaves whispering secrets in the breeze. Patches of wildflowers, violet nightshade and moonwort, opened their petals toward the pale light, as if welcoming an unseen visitor. Every so often, another glowing butterfly joined the procession, and together they formed a luminous trail winding into the forest's depths. Arin's pulse quickened. His breath came in small puffs beneath the chill sky. He wondered if he was dreaming, but when he reached the forest's threshold, the butterflies seemed to sense his uncertainty. One drifted close, its glow brushing his outstretched hand. and Arin felt a tiny spark of courage bloom in his chest. He followed them along a path strewn with leaves that glowed faintly beneath his feet. At first, the trail hummed like a distant lullaby. Then, through the tangle of trunks, Arin glimpsed something astonishing. A cottage bathed in warm lantern light, its roof thatched with golden straw and its windows framed by climbing roses. A gentle plume of smoke curled from its chimney, carrying the scent of cinnamon and old stories. He had never seen this cottage on any map, nor heard of it whispered by villagers. Yet, at that moment, Arin knew he stood at the doorstep of something wondrous, something that pulsed with the promise of magic. A wooden bridge arched over a silver stream, the water reflecting moonlight in dancing ripples. Flowers of every hue, ruby roses, sapphire daisies, and petals of lavender clustered around the banks, nodding as if in greeting. A soft voice drifted through the air, as comforting as a grandmother's embrace. "Welcome, child," it said. "I have been expecting you." Arin's heart thundered. Beneath the warm glow of the cottage's lanterns, framed by ivy and moonlit blossoms, stood an old woman whose eyes shone with centuries of wisdom. Her cloak was embroidered with constellations, and in her hand she held a lantern that pulsed with gentle light, like hope itself made visible. "Come in, Arin," she said, her voice both kind and mysterious. "I am Grandmother Mirella, keeper of the Lantern of Forgotten Wishes. Tonight, you will learn whether your heart's quietest longing still lies waiting in the glow of this lantern." Swallowing his wonder, Arin stepped across the bridge, its ancient wood creaking softly underfoot. He had lost something precious, a voice of stories, a spark of laughter, and now, beneath the moon's gentle gaze, he hoped to find it again. Grandmother Mirella led Arin through the cottage's open door, where shelves bowed under the weight of leather-bound tomes, and the air smelled of parchment and sweet spices. In the center of the room stood a round oak table, upon which rested the luminous lantern of forgotten wishes. Its glow pulsed gently, as though it were breathing, waiting. "Before the lantern may grant your wish," Mirella said, guiding Arin to a seat, "you must face 3 trials. The first is the trial of courage. She opened a heavy curtain behind her, revealing a doorway carved into a gnarly tree trunk. Step through, and you will enter the cavern of whispers. There, you must confront the fear that has shadowed your heart. Arin's throat constricted. He had never considered himself brave, especially after losing the stories that once filled his nights with wonder. Yet as he gazed into the dark opening, something inside him stirred. He nodded. Mirella smiled, her eyes twinkling like distant stars. Remember, courage does not mean the absence of fear, but moving forward in spite of it. With that, she handed him a small lantern made of glass and ivy. This will light your path. Taking a deep breath, Arin stepped into the darkness. The tree trunk doorway closed behind him with a hushed sigh, and the only sound was his own heartbeat. He lifted the glass lantern, and a warm glow spread across moss-covered walls. Droplets of condensation clung to the ceiling, and shadows danced where the light could not reach. A distant whisper echoed, "Turn back. You are not ready." Arin's breath hitched. His lantern flickered. The cavern stretched before him like an endless tunnel, its darkness thick and hungry. He swallowed, recalling Mirella's words. Gathering his courage, he moved forward. Further into the cavern, the whispers grew louder, spinning into a chorus of doubts. You'll never find your grandmother's stories. You're not worthy of magic. Return to the safety of your room. Each voice struck him like a chill wind. Arin's lantern wavered, and for a moment he felt the pull of fear. His legs trembled with the urge to flee. But then he remembered the faces of villagers listening in rapt silence to grandmother's tales, the way her voice had woven dreams in his heart. He recalled the comfort in her laughter and the sparkle in her eyes as she shared lessons hidden within her stories. With renewed resolve, Arin raised the lantern high and called out, "I am not afraid of forgetting. I choose courage." The whispers fell silent. In the hush, the cavern walls glowed faintly, revealing a gentle pool of crystal clear water. Floating at its center was a silver key, its bow shaped like a quivering heart. Arin stepped forward, dipped his hand into the cool water, and retrieved the key. As he did, The glass lantern brightened and the tunnel behind him illuminated, guiding him back. Emerging into the cottage's library, Arin's chest swelled with pride. Mirella awaited him, her lantern glowing in harmony with the one he held. "You have passed the trial of courage," she declared. "Keep this key. It will open the door to your next trial, the trial of kindness." Arin nodded, heart pounding, not from fear, but from triumph. He placed the key against his heart, ready to continue into the enchanted unknown. Grandmother Mirella led Arin to a second curtain, patterned with blooming roses and silver dew. She inserted the silver heart-shaped key into an ornate wooden door beside it and turned it. Soft light spilled through the crack, revealing a hidden glade just beyond. "Beyond this door lies the meadow of echoes," Mirella said. "Here you will face the trial of kindness. Every act of compassion will open your path forward. Every hesitation will cause the way to close." Arin's pulse fluttered. He stepped across the threshold into a clearing, lit by glowing will-o'-the-wisps hovering among tall grasses. The air was filled with sweet, soothing scents, but the meadow was eerily silent. No bird song, no rustling leaves. As he ventured deeper, a sudden cry startled him. A small fox cub, caught in brambles of thorny vines near a marshy pool. Its golden fur was matted with mud. It whimpered, eyes wide with fear. Arin knelt beside it. The vines snapped and writhed when he tried to pull them apart. Remembering his lantern's warm glow, he held it over the thorns. Its gentle light made the thorns retract as if they burned. Carefully, he freed the cub's leg. The fox licked his hand gratefully, then darted away toward the forest's edge. No sooner had the cub vanished than the ground beneath Arin's feet shimmered, and a new path of glowing stones appeared, leading to a cluster of giant mushrooms. On one of them sat a weeping willow sprite, whose tendrils of hair dripped tiny tears of liquid silver. "Please," the sprite sobbed, voice echoing across the meadow. "My tears fill the pond, poisoning its waters. My sorrow has trapped the pond nymphs below." Arin approached the edge of a dark pool, its surface rippling with oily rainbow sheen. He fetched his ivy lantern from Mirella's house and let its glow drift across the water. The light purified the surface, causing the toxins to swirl away. The willow sprite's tears dried, and her hair curled into gentle blossoms. Grateful nymphs emerged, luminous figures who danced in the moonlight. They crowned Arin with dewy lilies and whispered thanks before dissolving into motes of light. The mushroom's caps shimmered, revealing a hidden stair woven from silver vines that led down beneath the glade. Following the path, Arin came upon a grove of ancient oaks, their branches heavy with glowing fruit. Beneath them sat Grandmother Mirella, smiling. "You have shown kindness without seeking reward," she said, holding out a small chest carved from oak. Inside lay a second key, its bow shaped like a gentle hand. Arin accepted the key, noting how its weight felt like warmth in his palm. The meadow's glow brightened, and the way back to the cottage opened before him. "You now carry the key of kindness," Mirella said. "Soon, you will face the final trial of memory. Only then will the lantern of forgotten wishes grant your heart's deepest longing." Arin nodded, heart swelling with purpose. He had proven his bravery and compassion. Now, armed with 2 keys and boundless hope, he prepared for the most personal challenge yet: the journey into his own past. Arin returned to the cottage's hearth-illuminated hall, where Grandmother Mirella waited beside a tall mirror framed in silver ivy. Her lantern glowed softly, and beside it lay an obsidian key, its bow etched with an hourglass. "This is the key to the trial of memory," Mirella explained. "Step before the mirror and touch its surface. You will journey into the reflections of your past. Only by remembering what truly matters can you unlock your final wish." Heart pounding, Arin approached the mirror. He felt as though he balanced on a narrow bridge between then and now. With trembling fingers, he pressed his palm against the glass. It rippled like a pool disturbed by raindrops, and he felt himself drawn forward. When he opened his eyes, he stood in his childhood home, but brighter, as if illuminated by hope. Walls were painted with scenes of far-off lands, soaring dragons, enchanted forests, and kingdoms of cloud and star. He saw himself as a small boy, curled against his grandmother's lap, wrapped with wonder, as she spoke of heroes and magic. Arin's throat tightened as the memory shifted. He watched the day the story stopped. Grandmother had coughed in the glow of the fireplace, her face pale. He tried to coax a tale from her lips, but she could only offer a sad smile before slipping into sleep. His hands clenched at his sides, and tears pricked his eyes. Suddenly, the scene melted into darkness. He stumbled, but the mirror's glow guided him onward. He found himself wandering a moonlit forest path, one he did not recognize, yet felt intimately known. Along it lay mementos of forgotten joys. A wooden toy knight he once cherished, half buried in moss. A scrap of parchment bearing the first story he'd ever written, its edges frayed. Each object called to him, stirring warm flickers of remembrance. At the path's end stood the hidden cottage from his journey, lantern light spilling onto dew-kissed petals. But as he stepped forward, the scene blurred, and he felt himself sinking. A voice whispered in the darkness, "Forget, and you lose the way." Arin's heart thundered. He struggled against an unseen current tugging him away, threatening to erase the memories he'd unearthed. He took a deep breath and called out to the echoing halls of his past. I remember every story. I remember her laughter, her warmth, her love. With that declaration, the darkness receded. Light blossomed around him in a shower of glittering motes, and the mementos rose into the air, forming a swirling constellation of memory. At its center floated the obsidian key, radiating gentle warmth. Arin grasped it, and instantly he was back before Grandmother Mirella. The mirror's surface calm like glass. He held the key tight, feeling the weight of every cherished moment he'd once feared lost. Mirella smiled, her eyes shining with pride. You have reclaimed what was forgotten, she said. You are ready to make your wish. She placed the 3 keys, courage, kindness, and memory, upon the oak table. Tonight, the lantern of forgotten wishes will glow with your heart's true longing. Choose wisely, Arin, for magic bends to the will of the remembered. Arin stepped forward, chest tight with hope and resolve. Within the lantern's soft glow, he felt the pulse of every memory he'd rekindled, guiding him to the moment of choice. Arin stood before the lantern of forgotten wishes, the three keys laid out before him like constellations on the oak table. The lantern's glow pulsed in time with his heartbeat, illuminating the room with a gentle warmth. Grandmother Mirella watched in silence, her eyes reflecting pride and a touch of melancholy. "Now," she whispered, "speak your wish aloud. But remember, once spoken, the magic will bind you to your choice. Choose not for yourself alone, but for the heart you carry forward." Arin closed his eyes, recalling the moments that had led him here. The hush of the cavern of whispers, the grateful nymphs dancing in the meadow of echoes, the constellation of memories imprisoned within the mirror's depths. His grandmother's face floated in his mind, pale from illness, her stories silenced by frailty. He felt her laughter like a bird's song beneath his ribs, and her words like lantern light in darkest night. He opened his eyes and reached for the obsidian key of memory, then placed it reverently beside the other two. Heart pounding, he raised his voice. "By courage found, by kindness shown, by memory reclaimed, I wish for Grandmother Mirella's voice to return, so she may tell new stories once more." A hush fell over the cottage. The lantern's glow intensified, bathing the room in silver gold light. Arin felt warmth radiate through his palms and up his arms, as if the lantern itself embraced his wish. Outside, the wind stilled. Within the lantern, an image coalesced. Grandmother Mirella standing at a hearth, her cheeks rosy, her eyes alight with the spark of storytelling. Arin felt tears prick his eyes as the image shimmered and then dissolved into pure light. "Mirella," he whispered, unseen tears falling. "Please." There was a soft crackle, like embers igniting. The three keys leapt into the air and spun around the lantern before gently dropping back onto the table. The lantern's glow settled into a steady, radiant pulse. Grandmother Mirella raised her hand, and the lantern's light washed over her. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, from her lips came the softest hum of a lullaby, a tune Arin had never heard yet felt he'd known forever. Her eyes fluttered open, and with a voice both strong and tender, she spoke the first line of a new tale. In a forest of silver dreams, a child once wandered beneath moonbeams. Arin's breath caught. The sound was sweeter than any melody, richer than the wildflower's scent. Grandmother Mirella stood taller, color returning to her cheeks. "My dear Arin," she said, her voice clear as the stream beyond the bridge, "you have given me the greatest gift, your love and remembrance." Arin rushed forward and took her hand. The lantern's glow dimmed to a gentle shimmer, its purpose fulfilled, yet its magic lingered in the air like stardust. "You have passed every trial," Mirella whispered, "and in doing so, you have reminded me of life's truest magic, the stories we share and the love that binds us." Arin smiled through tears of joy. He had reclaimed more than his grandmother's voice. He had restored hope to them both and rekindled the magic of storytelling. Morning light filtered through the cottage's rose-laced windows, casting a warm glow over its familiar nooks and shelves. Grandmother Mirella and Arin sat side by side at the oak table, the lantern of forgotten wishes resting between them like a silent guardian. Outside, the forest stirred to life, the song of birds threading through rustling leaves as though celebrating a new beginning. Arin traced a finger along the lantern's smooth glass. Though its magic had granted his wish, its gentle pulse reminded him that wonder need not be confined to miracles alone. He glanced at Mirella, whose eyes sparkled brighter than ever before. "Arin," she said, her voice soft as a breeze, "the forest has much to share. Tonight's tale was born of magic, but every day holds its own enchantment. Would you like to tell the next story?" Arin's heart fluttered with excitement and reverence. He rose and placed his hand atop hers. "Yes, grandmother. Let us share stories together of courage and kindness, of memory and hope." Their laughter drifted through the cottage as they prepared ink and parchment. Mirella dipped her quill, and Arin leaned close, eager to learn the art of weaving words into worlds. As they wrote, the lantern's light dimmed to a soft glow, content in the knowledge that new stories were taking shape. When at last they stepped outside, the village lay quiet under the early sun. Arin carried a freshly written scroll, and Mirella held the lantern, now glowing only faintly, its purpose fulfilled. Together they crossed the wooden bridge and followed the winding path toward home. Along the way, they encountered villagers pausing at their doors, drawn by the pair's radiant calm. A baker lifted his head as flour dusted his shoulders. A weaver rested her shuttle to watch them pass. Whispers of curiosity and delight wove through the morning air. At the village square, a crowd had gathered. Children wide-eyed with wonder, elders leaning on their canes, and young couples smiling in quiet anticipation. Arin cleared his throat, standing beside Mirella, beneath a wooden arch entwined with roses. "Today," he began, voice steady, "we share a story born of moonlight and love." He held up the scroll. "This tale is ours, yours, mine, and Grandmother Mirella's. May it remind you that courage grows in the face of fear. Kindness blooms in every heart, and memories light our darkest nights." Mirella uncapped her ink and traced the opening lines upon a blank parchment. In a forest bathed by silver dreams, a hidden cottage awaited those who had lost their way. As their words unfurled into the crisp morning air, the villagers leaned forward, drawn into a world where magic and love intertwined. Arin watched their faces, smiles, tears, rapt attention, and felt a warmth deeper than any lantern's glow. When the final line was spoken, a hush settled over the crowd. Then, as if on cue, the villagers erupted into applause. Soft at first, then ringing out like bells across the square. The baker offered sweet rolls to the children. The weaver guided elders to shaded benches. The young couples exchanged hopeful glances. Arin turned to Mirella, whose eyes brimmed with pride and gratitude. "Thank you," she whispered. "You have rekindled what I feared lost. The joy of sharing our hearts through stories." He smiled, knowing their journey had only begun. Beyond the forest's edge lay countless adventures, waiting to be discovered, remembered, and told. And as the lantern of forgotten wishes faded into gentle memory, its light lived on in every word they would write, in every tale they would share, and in every heart that dared to dream. As twilight draped the sky in hues of lavender and rose, Arin and grandmother Mirella returned to the edge of the forest where their journey had begun. The cottage, once hidden, now shimmered gently under the moon's embrace, as though smiling at its cherished inhabitants. In Arin's hand, the lantern of forgotten wishes had faded to a soft, lasting glow, a reminder of magic's true form, the light we carry within. Mirella placed a hand on Arin's shoulder. Our tale is told, but our story is far from over, she said. Every night, beneath these stars, new dreams will find their way to our door. And as long as we remember to listen, the forest will guide us to those in need. Arin nodded, his heart brimming with purpose. He looked back toward the village, where lanterns flickered in half-open windows and the soft murmur of bedtime rituals drifted on the air. Somewhere, another child lay awake, longing for wonder. Somewhere, another heart whispered a forgotten wish. His resolve deepened. Together, they crossed the stone bridge, its wooden planks worn smooth by years of silent footsteps and hopeful travelers. Will-o'-the-wisps danced around them, weaving lantern light into patterns that glowed like constellations. When they reached the cottage's threshold, Arin paused. "Grandmother," he said softly, "will our story be written in books someday?" Mirella smiled, her eyes reflecting moonbeams. "Perhaps, but the greatest stories live in the hearts of those who share them. Each time you tell a tale, around a hearth, under a tree, or beside a child's pillow, you awaken its magic." Arin placed the lantern on a wooden shelf beside a row of blank journals. "Then I'll write our adventures and leave the pages open for others to add their own," he declared. Mirella's laughter floated like petals on a breeze. "A splendid idea, dear Arin. And when the cottage appears to another seeker, these journals will guide them, telling of courage, kindness, memory, and the power of love." Night deepened and the air grew cool. Arin and Mirella stepped outside once more, leaning against the bridge's railing as they gazed at the forest's silver canopy. In the distance, fireflies blinked like gentle beacons, and the stream sang its lullaby. Arin closed his eyes and listened to the night. The rustle of leaves, the distant hoot of an owl, the soft murmur of water over stone. In that symphony, he heard countless untold stories, each waiting for a voice. He opened his journal and dipped his quill in ink. With deliberate strokes, he wrote the opening lines of a new tale. In a forest of forgotten dreams, two travelers discovered that every heart holds a lantern waiting to be lit. He looked at Mirella, who nodded in encouragement. Together, they watched as the lantern's glow pulsed in time with their own hearts. Steady, unwavering, eternal. And so, beneath a moon bright with promise, the legacy of stories continued. The hidden cottage stood ready to reveal itself to any soul in need of hope. The journals waited on their shelf, eager for fresh reflections. And Arin, with courage rekindled and kindness blooming, would carry his grandmother's voice forward, ensuring that magic, once lost and then found, would never fade again. As our tale draws to a close, may the gentle glow of Arin and Grandmother Mirella's lantern linger in your dreams tonight. If this story brought you comfort and wonder, please tap the like button and subscribe to Dreamy Sleep Tales for more enchanting bedtime journeys. Share this video with friends and loved ones who could use a sprinkle of magic before sleep. And let us know in the comments how this story touched your heart. What was your favorite moment? Sweet dreams, and until next time, may your nights be filled with moonlight and memorable adventures.